Wait a minute, girlfriend. Back up here, because in the inner city community, diabetes and heart attacks run high in women of minority
Exactly.
Communities.
They go hand in hand. I mean, if you have diabetes,
Right.
you're more than likely eventually going to have heart disease or high cholesterol or both.
That's
It's just
a
fact.
triple killer.
Yes.
So what would you say to women in the inner city? Because you know what? Everywhere that you look, on every corner, there's a junk food.
I know.
You know, fried chicken is I Googled something the other day. Fried chicken joint is every 3/4 of a mile.
Wow. Wow.
Every 3/4, a fried chicken or a hamburger or a junk food. And now the markets are selling fried fish and fried food and fried this, fried and dyed this.
Yes.
So how can you expect women in the inner city to be healthy?
That's a good question. I think that it takes a lot of preparation to eat healthy. It takes a lot of time and consideration. Just don't go to those places. That's
You know, one
you
of the
can't
things
go to
was,
those places.
I was in the market the other day. I was in Safeway, and I was in West Oakland. And the lady had about 20 TV dinners.
Wow.
Those are the worst, aren't they?
I haven't looked at the ingredients in a TV dinner, but I'll tell you one thing is
The
that
fat
I
content is up
try-
there in the gazillions.
I can imagine. I try not to eat anything processed. I mean, everything to some degree is processed, but
Sure.
the best thing I could say is to try to eat as whole of foods as you possibly can with the least amount of ingredients.
That means label watching, right?
Yeah, you look at the label and, for example, what if you turn the box over and you really look at the label and there's a bunch of stuff on there that you don't know what it is. You don't understand the word.
Cyclamates.
Yes, don't eat it.
Sodium nitrites.
Nitrates, yeah. Don't eat them.
Horrible things on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
They actually attack certain organs in the body, I was reading.
Yes, and they elevate the blood pressure. So there you go. There's another thing for heart disease. It's high blood pressure.
Obesity, blood pressure, and stress.
Stress, cholesterol levels, of course.
Killer.
Yes.
Wow.
In my instance, my body was producing its own little lipid called LP(a), and that's something I never had heard of, never was tested for.
Sound like something you inject in yourself.
I know, and that was the culprit to me having my heart attack.
Lipid.
It was a LP(a). Yes, my liver produces it on its own.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I have a stent.
Oh, so you know what that's like.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was having this pain and didn't know what it was for. I'm a consummate workaholic.
Oh.
You know, I'm one of these people who I'm hyper. You know, I don't sleep but 4 or 5 hours a night. And then I got off the plane coming from overseas, and I just felt like, oh man, I felt like I'm sleepy.
Oh.
And I went to one of the premier health organizations, and they says, well, everything looks okay, but you have some problems. So they gave me some aspirin and some other stuff, and told me to go home and go see my doctor about my blood pressure. Well, I was working 12, 14 hours a day, plus getting on an airplane and going here and there. I'd get home, and marriage wasn't going that good. And this is another thing. When relations aren't going good, this is a lot of stress.
Yes.
So if you got obesity, heart conditions, high blood pressure, you know, and you're under stress and pressure, this is one of the premier times I understand from talking to one of the physicians at Travis that women do have heart attacks.
Yes.
When relationships aren't good. And we, the man population, is not really picking up our score right now. We're kind of laxing in being the actual man, where testosterone and egotism and all this stuff is going on. But women absorb all this every day. This is one of the things that my research is crude, but it's real.
Yeah.
We look at stress and pressure and obesity and all this, and then living in the inner city where the income is not that well. This is another stress.
Yes.
So you run a Zumba class is what I'm getting at.
I do a Zumba class, and I do several other things as well as personal training, and you name it. I teach spin early in the morning, and yeah.
So how do people respond to exercise, especially the female body, if they exercise? Now I understand it's an average of 25 minutes every 3 days. That was the number that I got.
Okay.
20 minutes, 25 minutes every other day.
Well, obviously any exercise is better than no exercise.
Right.
Right. I think the recommend is really 30 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it contributes. Another big factor, of course, is what you're eating, how well you sleep. All those things add up. One thing in particular to me that really strikes me is the information that's out there and the education. And to get yourself to the doctor, or to know what the signs and symptoms are and how different they may be for women than men. So I can use myself as an example. I was actually asleep when I had my heart attack.
Really?
It woke me up, and I didn't know what it was. Exercising, feeling good, on vacation, and when I woke up to the sensation of both of my arms radiating almost like a bad headache, kind of an achy radiation, but both of my arms. And so my instant thought was, ooh, something, maybe I have a pinched nerve in my neck. And for whatever reason, my husband was awake, and he asked me why I was awake, and I told him about my arms, and he said, well, do you think it's your heart?
Oh, really? Smart guy.
Really smart.
I applaud him.
Oh, me too.
I'm glad you were married to him.
Me too. Hey, 36 years this June.
Get out of here.
Yes,
Go
36 years. But he basically saved my life, because when he said, is it your heart? I said, no. I said, no. Why would it be my heart? No pre-symptoms, no feeling bad. My jaw didn't hurt. My chest didn't have that crushing pain. And it was both my arms.
Inadvertently, symptoms in women are much different than symptoms in men.
Yes.
Wow.
And so, after having the heart attack, after having the surgery, coming home and realizing that there wasn't anything on TV, no commercials about women and heart disease, no information. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I saw that scared me to death was a commercial on TV with a gurney floating down a hallway with no one in it, and it said, most women do not survive their second heart attack. And I don't even remember what the commercial was for, to be honest with you. It's probably a type of a medication. But my first thought was, second heart attack? I'm going to have a second heart attack? What?
So, did they put you on something like Benefol or something? Not Benefol, what do they call that stuff? Benicar or something like that?
Directly after surgery, because I had...
Oh, you had a surgery?
I had open heart surgery. I had 9 bypasses.
That was...
9. What? I know. People say to me, are there 9 arteries?
Oh my goodness.
So I had 9 bypasses. I think basically the surgeon, who I'm so thankful to, anything that looked questionable, he bypassed because of my age. Because they had to.
I didn't know there was 9 things you can bypass in the heart.
Yeah.
I thought there was. I hear you mostly hear quads, quadruple bypass.
Yeah. So my blockages were where some of the arteries would branch off into smaller arteries, and there were a lot of, excuse me, small blockages. So too much to stent. So they just did the surgery, and after that, of course, I was on tons of medications. Tons.
Are you still on something?
I take, actually, to help my liver not produce LP(a), I take a very high dosage of niacin, so B3.
Okay, ladies, this lady's telling you all the things that you need to do to stay alive. You know that John Travolta thing, staying alive?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember that.
That's right.
And it's synonymous of who we are. But in today's society, stress and pressure is pretty high.
Stress and pressure.
What are some of the ways you can tell women to alleviate daily stress?
That is a hard one.
I know. That's why I asked you.
Yeah. If you've ever done yoga or any type of meditation, breathing, even if it's so hard to carve out the time for ourselves.
Walking around the block.
Walk around the block, stand up, take a break for a few minutes. you know, exercise, it doesn't even have to be super hard exercise. It can just be, like you said, walking. I have to tell you, after my surgery, I was supposed to walk 4 times a day for 4 or 5 minutes.
Really?
And I went from teaching high-intensity spin classes to barely being able to walk halfway around my court. And that was, for my head, something I could not grasp. Really hard. So I know what it is to start from square one. And
The discipline is intense, isn't it?
yes.
It's
However,
hard to do. It's hard to get started.
It's hard to get, I would say this, it's probably harder to get started if you haven't had an incident.
Oh yeah.
So for me, I was already a person who exercised.
Right.
So and having an incident like that, and my life depending on it, and me not being able to picture what tomorrow will look like, will I ever be able to teach spin, will I ever be able to walk further than 4 minutes, it was almost a no-brainer that I had to do this.
How?
I have to.
What would you do to convince women, especially women of color in the inner cities,
Yes.
just women in general? Let's
Yes.
put it that way. What would you do to convince them to start exercising?
Well, I have one piece of information that I read and was absolutely floored with, and that's for women with color. 50% have heart disease by the time they're 20. Age 20.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Back up. Say that again.
50% of women with color have heart disease at the age of 20. So they have the beginnings of heart disease that maybe
There's a
they
lot
don't
of ignorance
even
in that.
know about.
Yeah.
So for me, and because there wasn't information out there about women and heart disease, just women in general, it was all about breast cancer, which is honestly, breast cancer and all of those, they've done a fantastic job with the marketing and all that, because
longevity in breast cancer is increasing,
and
tremendously.
they've made leaps and bounds, but we want that to happen with heart disease.
Right.
Because if you put all the cancers and combine them together, they don't kill as many people as heart disease.
Say that again.
All the cancers combined don't kill as many people as heart disease.
Really?
That is so true. They're all prevent cancer, prevent cancer.
Yes, and cancer is terrible. It is. But we also need the funds and the money to do the research and the education, and that's huge, the education. And so if you know you're predisposed for whatever reason, part of the reason from what I read was the high blood pressure is a very, very prominent in women with color. So for whatever reason.
Wait a minute. Let's back up again. All right. We're going to do a reverse. That's a reverse, by the way. By the age of 20,
Yes.
50% of women of color have high blood pressure and heart disease.
I don't know about the high blood pressure if 50% have that, but I read that 50% of them have heart disease. They're the beginnings of heart disease. To me, that's
the beginning of heart disease.
Yes.
So
I mean,
by the time they're
any-
40 years old, they're in trouble.
They're prone, yeah.
I would think if genetically you're predisposed to it, like I was,
Mhm.
in a sense, and I had no idea. So to me, that information was like, what? I couldn't even believe it.
I was
Education.
I
is
was
huge.
I was in this little place in East Oakland the other day, about a month and a half ago, and everything they had was fried.
Yeah.
Everything they had, and I read. I was leaving, and I read the container, denatured animal fat.
Ooh.
They still use that.
Yes. I know.
Clogged up their arteries.
Wow.
Yes.
So by 60 years old, a great number of women in the inner city are destined for heart failure in some way,
And
or being unhealthy.
Heart-related disease,
Yeah.
yes. And I think if I could say anything, it would be to find out as much information that you can. I mean, if your grandmother had a heart problem when she was older, take that to heart, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And the education part of it, I think, is the hardest part. Think this too. If I was going to try to motivate a woman of any color to take care of their heart, I would say this. By nature, we're nurturers, and we want to take care of everyone else. However, when something happens to us, and I know this firsthand, you're not going to be taking care of anything. You're not going to take care of your kids. You're not going to be taking care of the household. You're not going to be cooking the dinners. You're not. You have to put yourself and know that you're a priority so that you're capable of doing all those things that we want to do by nature. Take care of everyone. So take care of yourself first, and then everything else will be okay.
You know, I was just talking about ranting. I call it my rants. You know, when I get on the air in the morning, it's about men treating women better. You know, it seems like men are under intense pressure right now, but women are under even more pressure. Because we're the ones that actually create the pressure in a lot of ways. And a lot of men have extreme high expectations of women. I was talking about earlier about being at this one guy's house. We went by there. His wife is an OR nurse, okay?
Wow.
She had done a 12-hour shift, and he called her out of the back room and asked her to come cook. And she cooked another 2.5 hours.
Wow.
You know, fried wings and fried fish and nachos and all this kind of stuff. You know, and I ended up feeling sorry for her, and I went and got the beer and the wine. But I just don't understand how we are so disconnected as men when women are in trouble. And you're saying to me that women should think of themselves first.
Yes.
That is not being selfish. That's being prudent in a way. Am I right?
I believe it is, because we want to take care of our children. We want to see our grandchildren. We want to take care of everything, have our jobs, take care of the household. We want to do all those things. And to be capable and able to do all those things and be well, you have to make yourself a priority. And it almost feels like it goes against our nature, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and I think that that's also another problem, is that we may ourselves ignore, if we don't know what this, even if we know what the symptoms are, we may ignore those symptoms because we have too much to do. I can't get to the doctor because, and even like yourself, you said you were working long hours.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you were thinking, well, how am I going to get into my doctor? They told me I have high blood pressure. When am I going to find time to get into that doctor?
Right. And you're so right. I mean, that was my thought. I'll put it off until tomorrow. I don't really feel that good.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm too tired to get in there. Right? But yeah, sometimes just
no,
extreme
baby,
fatigue
let me tell you
is
something.
the
That's
symptoms.
just being crazy.
Yeah.
That's being greedy. You 74.
Nice.
Yeah.
What?
And let me tell you something. My Aunt Fime lived to be 104 years old, and my Aunt Charity was 105.
Wow.
My dad was 99 when he
Great
croaked.
genetics.
And I have family members who, I think my granddad he was right at 92, 93.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really
But they're all mixed-blooded people.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
Yeah. Mixed heritage people.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
To some degree. I know I'm a huge mutt.
My
but-
granddad was real easygoing, and he raised all his children like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And my dad used to say to me, you see that moon up there? He said, jump for it. You may not get it, but you'll get a piece of it. You know, and we learn to put things in perspective. This is one thing about our society right now. We do not put things in priorities anymore. And living is not a priority, believe it or not. Cars, clothes, what I call misplaced priorities.
Yeah.
And financial viability is the most important thing. Am I right?
I agree with that. I do.
You know, so that puts stress on you.
And it's amazing when you have something, like even with your stint, for me personally, it gave me a different level of appreciation.
Wow, I'm gonna get my foot out.
You get a different level of appreciation, and it makes you come back to what's the most important thing.
Well, you know, I like success. I love success. I just bought me a $1 million house.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in the hills,
Nice.
in El Sobrante Hills. And people say, wait a minute, well, that's too much stress. It's my enjoyment. That's one thing I like doing. In the last 5 years, I've bought and sold 5 houses. The last 2 years, I've bought and sold 5 houses. Yeah, but it's, you know, it's all about how you organize life. And this is one of the things that will keep the stress down. And if you're confident, I look at women. Women will have a lot of confidence. Men are the ones who question themselves over and over and over and over. You know, if you tell the man population to get out there and exercise, I would say about 20% of them would do it. Whereas with women, I see more women in the gym than I see men.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You know, and I see more women out there doing the cardio,
Yeah.
the bikes, the walkers,
Yeah.
and I see the men over in the corner with Nugenics and all this other stuff trying to get that muscle up, baby.
That's right.
You know, look buff. And we're back with Allison again. Tell me about the fashion show.
So the fashion.
Red. This is red. Everything's
red. Yes.
Oh my God.
Everything's red. It's a
My
Go
favorite
Red
color.
strut. So as you probably already know, I started doing a fundraiser for the American Heart Association, Go Red.
Yeah, and you're the
with the
biggest
Zumba.
single fundraiser in the Heart Association.
Yes.
Girl, go ahead on.
So originally that started to just raise awareness because I realized there's no information out there. Nobody knows about how many women are dying of heart disease. So how about we exercise in a fun way by dancing and doing Zumba and educate a little bit and hopefully raise a little bit of money. And my real goal on that first one, I'd never done anything like it before, was to try to get 100 people to come. And I was like, I'm not even sure I know 100 people. And to raise a couple $100 possibly. And we ended up with 200 people coming. And we raised about $1,000 the first year.
Wow.
And I was thinking in my head, I can do this. I think I could do this a lot better. So it's evolved. We've had 7 fundraisers, and I saw the Go Red strut that they put on in New York with Macy's. And I thought, well, how come we can't have our own small town Go Red strut and also raise more money? So we started doing the fashion show, and we had every type of person, every type of woman in it. Ages, sizes, colors, everything. Just people to show that
Isn't it
everybody
wonderful when
matters.
something like that comes out good?
Yes.
How'd you feel?
Oh, like over the top. Over the top. It
So
was
you're
amazing.
you're at $60,000 in donations now.
Yes.
60K.
Yeah, yes. Yes. And it's very exciting, and each year it grows, and what I'm finding more exciting than anything is that every year others will come to me and say, well, I want to join in on this, and how about, can I do this type of thing and add it to the fundraiser? For an example, one of the other instructors at the club said, I'd like to do a spin event where we ride bikes for 2 hours and we charge for the bike, and we'll put that into your fundraiser.
Wow.
And then this year, one of my good friends, she always organized a golf tournament for breast cancer. And she said, what if we do it one for Heart Association, maybe every other year, breast cancer or whatever. And she got it approved through her country club golf course, and they're going to be doing that, and that's going to be adding to, so it's so much more awareness now. That's something I'm very excited about.
You got some numbers I want to hear. I want your personal number, dearie, because I'm going to call you 24/7. Because I'm going to go out and exercise and stuff. I just burned up 972 calories
That's right.
in 12 minutes.
That's right, 12
Need a
minutes.
Fitbit.
That's right, a Fitbit.
How do people contact you, seriously, if they want to get a hold of you? And you're in Brentwood.
I am.
And you know what? Out there, it seemed to be a community where everybody. My son lives in Antioch, at the north end of the east end of Antioch.
Uh-huh.
And I watch all the cars go by, going down Highway 4. People want to. So you're in the middle of a hot and heavy area right now,
Yeah, the traffic is crazy.
and the stress is crazy.
I think that the stresses are different.
So how would people get a hold of you?
Yes, they can contact me, they can text me, they can email me, they can contact the club that I work for. I work at Delta Valley Health Club in Brentwood. And I also have a home studio, so I do the mornings
Delta
there.
Valley.
Health Club.
Delta Valley, I see that.
Yeah.
Delta Valley Health Club in Brentwood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell them, if they come to sign up,
Yes.
okay, is it what kind of cost is there?
Oh, to sign up to join the club?
Right.
You know, that club is very reasonable, and I'm not in membership, and I don't know the exact numbers. I think it's under $60 a month. It's like a 70,000 square foot facility.
That's a big place.
It's got everything.
It's huge.
We have massage therapy. We have MX4 program. We have spin studio.
What's MS4?
MX4 is a program like Orange Theory. You know,
Oh.
Everybody knows about Orange
Oh,
Theory.
yeah.
So it's that
Yeah.
high intensity for an interval period of time and cross training. It's really fun. So we have a whole bunch of, there's really something there for everyone.
I want to throw one at you.
Yes.
If you want to fix an evening meal, what would you fix?
For myself,
For company.
for company,
A healthy evening meal.
yes, skinless barbecued chicken. I would like to fix them a kale salad and some grilled vegetables.
You know, it's very simple to stay healthy. What is our problem? I had to throw that one at you.
Yes. I think we get roped into stuff, and I think there's always an occasion to eat unhealthy. So if it's not 4th of July, it's Memorial Day weekend, it's Thanksgiving and Christmas, and there's always, well, as soon as the holidays are over, then I'll start getting healthy as soon as.
That's
But
procrastination
why
and
not?
prevarication all rolled into one thing. It's yourself.
why not eat healthy during those holidays? I think this, if you can do the healthy thing 90% of the time, even maybe a little bit more, you're good.
I understand that the longevity on when you take care of yourself is an extra 20 years.
That's
I read
amazing.
that the other day.
Wow, that is amazing.
It is an extra 20 years because the medium age right now that women of color are croaking out of here at, I shouldn't say, passing away, dying, whatever the hell, you know, is in their 60s now.
Oh, that's not good.
It's in their mid to late 60s when, you know, people of other races are living into 80, up into 80 years old.
Yeah,
And it's all because of diet.
yeah,
You know, not always heredity.
right.
It's what you eat.
It is, and the exercise is really good, but the number one is genetics, number 2 is what you're eating, and number 3 is exercising. Stress, sleep, all that comes with it. It's a big package. It's not simple.
I read something here not too long ago that it even depends on where you live and how you live. If you live in a house that's flat and small, that limits your lifespan. I read that not too long ago, about a year ago. You don't exercise. You go home, you walk 10 feet, you walk 5 feet, here's the stove. You walk 8 feet, 10 feet, there's, you know, everything else.
Interesting.
And they had a guy who was, he was a doctor, by the way. And one of the more premier heart doctors that I used to talk to was Dr. Elias Hanna. And one of the things he was talking about is living in a house with stairs when you get old. Yeah,
Nice.
living in a house. Make sure you got something to give you that little bit of cardio every day. So I lived in a 1,400 square foot house, 1,296 square foot plus a little room on the side, sunroom. You know, and I noticed that now that I'm in a 3,100 square foot house with stairs, I feel better at the end of the day.
Nice.
You know, and this is one of the things that, you know, constant exercises over a short period of time, it enhances your life and your livability.
I think hence the 10,000 steps with our Fitbit.
Right.
Because I think
10,000 steps?
10,000 steps is what they think the average person should get just doing nothing extraordinary.
Wow.
But it's pretty eye-opening when you put one of those on and you look at that, because a lot of people struggle to get the 10,000 steps. I think that was based on these studies about people who go to the gym and they work out super hard for an hour a day,
Mm-hmm.
and yet they're still not really healthy. They're still not keeping
Wait,
their
whoa,
weight.
back up. Say that again.
People who are working out an hour a day, working out hard, maybe they're still not the healthiest. Maybe they're still obese, and so they started looking at, well, what's happening the other 23 hours left? They're sitting, well, if you live where I live, you're sitting in traffic for a couple hours to get to your
Right.
job. So you're sitting, you sit at a desk job, even though people at desk jobs a lot of times say, but I'm up and down all day. But if you put on this Fitbit, we'll just see how up and down are you. And then you commute home, and then you're really tired, and you eat and you sit down on the couch, watch TV, relax, go to bed.
It's not a
Cool.
lot.
So how do you get those steps in?
I work San Francisco City Hall, Engineering and Administrative Services. So from the time I get there in the morning until the time I leave, I think the 10,000 steps are just minuscule. I'm up, down, around the building, I'm up the floors, I'm up ladders, you know, and the staircase is at least 60 stairs up, you know. And then I walk my dog in the evening. I walk him at least 3 or 4 blocks.
Nice.
You know.
It's important. All
Yeah.
of that adds up.
And then my house has 3 staircases in it.
Nice.
So at the end of the day, my little skinny legs feel like, oh, yep, I did it.
You
know?
did it. And it's a good thing. That's
Yeah.
what'll keep those legs moving.
But I realized that, and you know, looking at things, I realized that you have to keep moving.
You do.
It's when you're stagnant you deteriorate.
It almost seems contradictory, because sometimes when you don't feel good, you
Right.
think the last thing that's going to make you feel good is getting up and moving around.
Right.
But that, in fact, is what, you move around, you feel better.
Yeah.
We're meant to be moving around. We're not meant to just sit and do nothing.
You know, saying that a lot of people who retire, they don't live 5 to 7 years. I saw that in the statistic.
Yeah.
They're in the box between 5 and 7 years. 71, 72 years old is the median age of death.
Mm.
Yeah, they had some that are retired like maybe a year or 2 years, and then they pass.
Yeah. And what's amazing is how things have changed, though, and how information that we're given has changed, for example, compared to like my grandfather, who died of a heart attack. But his doctors, he was in his 60s when he had a heart attack, and back then the open heart surgery wasn't as common, and they said, you know, well, you're too old for open heart surgery, you have super high cholesterol, there's no cholesterol medications, and basically they told him to go home and not overexert and watch his fat intake, fat and salt.
That was it.
And he was gone. He didn't last.
My friend Roger retired 2012. And he was 77 and 78 years old when he went. And I kept telling him, stay away from the stuff. And alcohol in men today is a big problem. And it inhibits growth. It inhibits everything. It inhibits your lifestyle
Oh, yeah.
as well as your longevity. You know, one of the things is, if you notice that men, well, just a couple of shots in the morning and a couple of shots afterward. Yeah, I know people who do that. You know, getting around Oakland at 10 o'clock in the morning, the bars open up, some of them at 10, and they have 30, 40 people in there at 10 o'clock in the morning. You know, and that's one of the things that I look at living in inner city. I used to live in Green Valley, and then I got divorced and I moved into Oakland, and then I was unhappy the whole time I was there. You know, and I noticed that my diet had changed, everything had changed, and I was actually struggling to actually keep up and eat the right thing. You know what my breakfast is in the morning?
What?
Is low-fat turkey sausage, the extra lean turkey sausage.
Nice.
5 egg whites, five little cups of egg whites, which is equal to 2.5 eggs.
Nice.
Green spinach and walnuts, and a little cheese.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. So good.
yeah, every day.
That's really good.
Yeah,
But another thing that works against everybody is cost inconvenience with the food. Depending on where you are in the city,
Yeah. Yes.
You know, everybody says, well, you can get a burger for 99 cents and then the salad is $8.
Correct.
You know?
A pre-made salad.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's not easy. It takes a lot of thought, a lot of preparation. And again, to eat healthy, you just have to pretty much do it yourself because of that. And the convenience thing, to me, that's a little bit of the sad part of it. Because when you are super busy and you need something on the run, like for myself, I'm almost never anywhere without an apple in my tote. Because they last. You can tote them around. They don't have to be refrigerated. And it'll get you through so that you aren't
Grabbing something you shouldn't.
grabbing something you shouldn't because there's nothing else there.
You know what? Again, I look at the fact that ribs are a mainstay. A lot of people. I was at my friend's house 2 days ago, and he went to this place down in Pinole and got a slab of ribs, and sit there and ate almost half of it. I'll eat the other half tomorrow.
Right.
You know, these are the kind of diets that are taking us out of there.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what your race is.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
and believe it or not, the working class young people between 19 and 35, I say, they eat junky.
Yeah.
They eat very junky.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think, well, I'll get better as I get older. But here we go with the 20-year-old thing in the inner community, inner city community.
I believe that's true, and I think that I try to encourage people to live by example for their children. Because seriously, what is going to happen to these children who are in elementary school and they're already obese? So I think of that because what's going to happen to them when they're 30?
Well, a lot of them don't make it to 30.
So you have to, as a parent, you can't just say eat your vegetables. You have to eat your vegetables. You have to cook your vegetables. And as far as I know, elementary school kids can't drive themselves to the store and buy junk. So how do they get the junk to eat? Their parents are buying it because, oh, my children won't eat this. Well, I think when they get hungry, they'll eat anything that you have.
Let me make you laugh, okay? I was in Kenosha, Wisconsin a few years ago. Excuse me. I was in Kenosha. And I went in this restaurant, okay? And it was breakfast. And the lady said, what do you want? I said, I like egg whites. She said, we don't have that.
Oh.
And I said, okay. She said, you want a man's breakfast. And it said up on the thing, a man's breakfast. That was 4 slices of bacon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then they brought rice and they put gravy over the rice.
Excellent.
You know. And 4 eggs, and they take the drippings from the bacon to cook the eggs.
Right.
And then you get a steak?
Huh?
Did they give you a steak on top of that?
No. But they had, the bacon was like a 1/4 of an inch thick, and it was like this long.
Wow.
And then I said, do you have any grits? She said, oh, yes. I said, okay, honey. Yeah, I said, I'll take grits and wheat toast, okay. And I said, no bacon. But I said, you got something chicken? She said, no, we don't have nothing. She said, I can cook you a chicken patty, turkey patty, a turkey sausage. I said, that'll work. So she brought the grits. And that was about that much butter on it.
Oh.
And I'm going, wow. I said, okay. So I poured the butter off in a cup.
Oh my gosh.
And I ate the grits, what was left. There was still a lot of butter.
Oh, wow.
So I went home with my friend, his name was Duque. I went home with him right outside Kenosha, about 15, 20 miles. We was on motorcycles, by the way. And they had this huge pot roast. I mean, this thing was gigantic. And I'm looking at all these huge people like this, you know. And his uncle said, this is to put some lead in your pencil as a man, boy. Potatoes, everything cooked in the same pot.
Oh boy.
All the veggies, you know.
Okay.
And the broth is like, they use white flour as a roux, like, you know, then they put this stuff. This was the meal.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
And he died he was 63 when he died.
Oh.
Yeah. He turned 63. And he called me Christmas. And then that March, I got a card that he had passed.
Oh.
You know, and I understand that what people eat, how they eat, is very important right now.
It is.
And again, I wish there was a way that we could get out the word to the inner city community that you're eating your death every day.
I know. I just think it's, you can say it until you're blue in the face, really, but
Right.
unless it happens to you or someone very close to you, and you fully understand that it's really not enough just to take a pill to correct
Right.
the way you're eating. You could do a lot of the corrections yourself. When I had my heart attack and I knew I was going to have surgery, I asked my cardiologist and I asked the surgeon, what did I do wrong? And they said nothing. And I was so mad at that because I wanted to have something that I had done wrong that I could correct myself.
Really?
So that this didn't happen. To me, it felt like that would be something I could control. And they said, oh, you're our poster child. We don't have to tell you how to exercise or how to eat because you've always done that. Well, I don't want to be the poster child. I never aspired to be heart disease poster child. I wanted to change something easily. So if you think about it, there's a lot of small things that you can do that make a big, big, big difference. That you can change yourself and help yourself and minimize your risks.
You know, one of the things is the other part of this whole equation that we're looking at, the psychological endurance. That's not a real word, by the way.
Right.
It's a my word, okay? I desecrate the English language. But anyway, seriously, sugar is another thing that
Yes.
creates a real big problem for heart people.
Yes, it sure does.
Sugar.
Sugar. It really does. It really does.
Nobody ever says anything about sugar.
No.
Yeah, they do. They say about diabetes.
The diabetes, the American Heart Association Go Red has a, if you go online and go onto that, there's little challenges. And I love that. You know how people love a challenge, 10,000 steps, right? That's a challenge. They have challenges, and one of them was to eat 23 grams or less. I believe it was 23 grams or
23
less
grams is about a teaspoon.
of sugar.
That's about a teaspoon.
But we're talking about added sugar.
Oh, added sugar.
So not sugars that are in fruits, apples and whatnot, but added sugars. So just pay attention to the added sugar. And then challenge yourself to see if you can do that for a month.
That's hard.
How about a week?
That's hard too for
How
some
about a
people.
day? Well, one day you think to yourself, wow, I did it.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, that wasn't so bad. And then another day. And all the good that you're doing for yourself.
Yeah, and then you learn to alter your recipes and
Yes.
use other things instead of sugar.
Exactly, and I think too that things have to be edible, right? You can't
Right.
sacrifice everything
Yeah.
all the time, but things can taste good. So alter it a little bit, but maybe there's just things that you just cannot alter without it just being horrible. Okay,
know what?
then
One of the
you don't
best
need as
things-
much.
One of the best things that we could do is we could republish this 1,000,000 times and put it out, and I don't think 100,000 people would listen to it, because one of the things that people are really worried about today is just day-to-day living.
Yes.
But the critical part of this whole message is the fact that we need to adhere to a good diet, a decent diet,
Yes,
which we as Americans don't do.
true. And everyday living, well, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be living.
You're listening to Thoughts of a Common Man with Charles the Chief Williams on Radio Valencia, the sounds of the mission.
Hola, ho! I had to sing that.
Yeah.
I'm singing. Don't beat me.
Yeah.
Go Red.
Go Red.
The fashion show.
Yes.
The red dress. I gotta say something. Brittany Schiff on KRIN had a red dress, and I woke up this morning, I walked in there, I like to have a heart attack. Red kind of just does something to the blood.
That's right.
Whoa, my goodness, baby. What a beautiful, gorgeous woman, a plus woman, but boy, she is, woo! Make you have 3 heart attacks inside of 15 minutes. Red,
Yes.
synonymous with what it is, attractive, attracting, psychologically attracting, physically attracting, and money attracting.
Yes, let's hope so.
People buy more red now than they ever have. So your fashion show is tell me something about this.
Well, the fashion show was really to help raise awareness, of course, and the red dress is the symbol of the Go Red campaign for women and heart disease. So that's very suiting, red, heart disease, right? And at the fashion show, we all try to wear something red, whether it be a full-on red dress or, well, we have men in our fashion show too, because men can go red for women. So men who are supportive of this effort.
What do
for
men
women.
wear this red, except a shirt?
Red tie.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're going to say red pants, and we're going, okay.
We had some red, I think we had a red suit, but one fantastic thing is our MC for our Zumba event, he wears an all-red suit with big white hearts all over it. It's crazy. It's fantastic. He looks excellent in it. He looks really good in it. I'm sure I have some pictures to show you.
You know, staying in condition is a big thing, and being able to wear certain clothes just makes you feel better, am I right? Makes you feel good.
Yes.
Yeah, and that psychologically, this is one of the things we look for when we exercise. And red is kind of like I care. You know, it's synonymous of of being positive, as far as I'm concerned. You know, and I was looking at this thing here on the screen here, this red dress. Like I said, when you see women in red, it says something. That's a statement, you know. But when you see women who are toned and women who are taking care of themselves, it even makes it gives you a lot of confidence. And psychologically and chemically, physiologically, it changes something in your psyche when you're in tune with your body. Am I right?
Yes.
Did I put that right?
Being aware and being in tune.
Being aware. There we go.
Being aware and being in tune is important.
Yeah. So how do you, when you have these ladies in for your classes, what is one of the first things you say to them about, where they're going in the class?
For example, the Zumba class? Or
Yeah,
the
the
spinning
Zumba class.
Or...
Yeah. Both, the fashion show or the Zumba classes.
Oh,
what is your motivating factor?
To take care of ourselves as women so that we can take care of everything else. It's really it. I mean, physically we need to do that, and it reaches far beyond what we look like. And also in the fashion show, there's different people, different sizes, different shapes. Everybody is on the same mission, basically, is to better themselves, better their health, and have a little bit of control over that.
Control is a big word, dear.
Yeah, I know.
Dedication is a big word.
Yes.
Discipline is a big word. Huge word is discipline.
It is.
To pull yourself up to go out there and do this every day.
And I admire the people. There's people who come to exercise at 5:30 in the morning of their own accord by themselves.
5:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I admire them because they are dedicated to their health. They are. It may be their only opportunity in a very busy day to take care of themselves.
This is about longevity in life, and it all comes down to the brass tacks. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What are one of the first things women ask you about coming into the class? Are they conscious of their size? What are the most prevalent factor?
I would say that, where I live, we have a lot of young moms. And, they want to be able to be active for their children. And we also have some older, people, of course. I mean, pretty much everybody wants to be able to do everything that is demanded of them in their lives that day. Taking care of the kids, taking care of, and looking good, losing a little bit of weight. That's very common, of course.
Well, you know, one of the things about men is the chest.
Oh,
They want
gosh.
seriously. They want these manly-looking chests. You know, they're vibrant, and you know, the pecs and the vecs and whatever the other things are under their arms.
That's why they suck their gut in.
Oh. Yeah, they do that too. One of the things is men are more physically, they look toward the physical attributes more than they look toward the health things. So what do you say to a man who's had a heart attack and he comes to you and asks you for advice?
Well,
especially on the exercise. This is about the exercise, not the medical part, okay?
yes. Well, if they've had a heart attack, the very first thing I want to know is, did they do rehab? You know, what actually happened? Did they have the heart attack? Did they have a stent? Did they have surgery? Did they do rehab? How are they feeling? And all that. And hopefully I can help them find a way to get the cardio into their life that will work for them, something they enjoy, because a lot of people don't enjoy cardio.
Really? That's the backbone of it all, am I right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. You want to put your numbers out there again, where they can contact you, online, in your club, or whatever?
Yes, they can contact me through Delta Valley Health Club in Brentwood, or they can email me. I don't know if I should say my email or...
Sure.
Okay. My email is LAREE, looks like Larry, 713, and I'm a dinosaur. It's at AOL.com.
Wow. We've been here talking about health and heart, and we talk about body and size and everything. Tell me something. I like Rosie and Rocky chickens. Okay, Rosie and Rocky. They're organic, and they're not as big as regular chickens.
Right.
And I was in the market the other day, and I watched these huge chicken thighs look like turkey thighs. What do you think about eating organic? What's your opinion? Not medical, but what is your personal opinion on organic and eating green and eating stuff like broccoli and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, broccoli. I love broccoli. So, you know, I'm all for eating all the superfoods. There's a list that you can look up, and it's called the Dirty Dozen.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I was trying to find that out.
The Dirty Dozen tells you which ones are the most pesticide-ridden, and those are the most important things to buy organic. And then they have the Clean 15 or something like this. So those are the ones that, if the organic's not available, it's really, you know, it's okay. I prefer eating grass-fed organic meats because the fat content is different.
Do you eat beef?
I do.
Oh!
Shocking.
Get out of here!
Everybody thinks I'm a vegetarian, but I'm not.
Oh.
I eat fish.
You
I eat
just blew me
chicken.
away.
I eat beef.
Uh-huh.
I don't eat gobs of it.
This is everything.
Right.
What? You guys are overrunning the old boy here? I thought, you know, you hear, don't eat beef.
Right. But beef does have some really essential amino acids that are very good for you.
Really?
I don't eat super fatty beefs.
Yeah.
I eat the leanest grass-fed beef I can find when I eat beef.
You know, up near, down near Salt Lake Tahoe,
Uh-huh.
there is a guy who grows Black Angus, all grass-fed, and he grows his own grain.
Nice.
You should taste that.
Oh, I bet it's fantastic.
It is, you know, I'm not a beef eater. I'm going to put this on the air. There is a place that I'm going to tell you that I go. It's in El Sobrante. It's called Cafe Solil. It's on San Pablo Dam Road, and it's Jennifer and Todd's Cafe Solil. It is so wonderful, and they have grass-fed beef.
Nice.
I don't eat steaks in the morning, but their steaks, I was looking at them, and they are quality, you know, very minimum fat, and they trim very lean. And if you live out there in that area, let me see this card again. I have to look. Where is that at? 3550 San Pablo Dam Road in El Sobrante. You know, it's a very healthy place to live and to eat. You know, and one of the things I noticed is that they, I asked for egg whites, and they had organic egg whites and stuff like that. You know, and this is one of the things that I try to push. I don't push my diet on everybody. And let me tell you something. What's really good in the evening time, I take broccoli and I cut it up, and I saute it in grapeseed oil.
Nice.
And then I cut up prawns, okay, and have a little bit of hot sauce, okay, and then I put this all together with pico de gallo. Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
And the grapeseed oil, you have to keep it at a low temperature. But oh God, the taste is just, and coarse ground pepper.
Absolutely.
You know, and then I have just a little thing of brown rice with that.
Nice. Sounds
You know.
delicious.
You know, and it's things like, it took me a while to get a hold of that, and getting on a diet was hard, because living like I was living, I lived on an airplane, and God, I knew what all the cardboard airplane food that you can name was, all the airlines. I knew it by, I could just close my eyes and eat that stuff and tell you, oh, this is United, and this is so-and-so, and this is so-and-so. You know, this is one of the things that, you know, I found out that I had to have a stent. And the other big thing that I had to do was I had to stop drinking. I love Jack Daniels, which is high in sugar. You know, I used to sit there. I'd have 2-3 shots on the plane, get off, and I'd eat and have another shot before I got home. By the time I got home, I was half pie-eyed. Really. And a lot of men live like that. And inadvertently, when there was a guy, his name was Dr. Gurinder Dillon, and he's in Fairfield. He's the one who saved my life. He caught the little artery that goes behind the heart that nobody looks at. It was plugged.
Wow.
Yeah.
Saved your life.
So I got a stent, and the 10,000 steps every day are important and very classical in being. And I want to say something to people.
Go find
And we're
this
back
thing.
in here with Allison, and our husband, who is an actor, is here, and his friend. You know, and we're sitting here going, oh my God, we got these wonderful people here today. So we're going to take some good-looking pictures. We're going to put them out there for everybody, and we're going to be the wild bunch today, or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Go Red,
Go Red.
the fashion show.
Yes.
Let's bounce on that a little bit.
Okay. So the fashion show also includes a huge silent auction, and that's part of how we raise money as well. Our events are so big now. I say our because it's like a community effort to put these events on, and we have separate committees for all different things. So we have a committee for the silent auction, and we have wonderful things in the silent auction, and that's a huge part of it as well. And the whole goal is to raise awareness for women and to donate money to the Go Red so that they can then educate women or offer services to women who maybe wouldn't have the opportunity to get those services, checkups, screenings. It's just so important.
Critical is catching something in time, am I right?
Yes.
You want to talk about that? You know, when something happens to your body, you want to make damn sure that you know to react and go get an opinion from a professional. Am I right?
Absolutely. Oh, yes. And I would say the one thing is never feel like you're being dumb because you went to the emergency room because you had extreme fatigue or chest pain, and it turned out to be nothing. It's better that you go have it checked because chances are it is something. And you catch it early, you could have a stent and be out of the hospital in what, 2 days?
Yeah.
And
when I had my stent, I was out the next day.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing
I
what
got
they
it
can
that
do.
evening, and they kept me overnight, and I got it out the next morning.
It's amazing.
You know, medicine and technology right now is really wonderful. Am I right?
Yes, it
You
is.
know, and
it's
tests. They can do an angiogram so quick and make your head swim.
right.
You know, electrocardiograms are 20 minutes.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that I want to tell people is get over your fear of having a medical procedure.
Right.
Am I right? That's one of
Yes.
the worst things that people go through. Oh, they're just terrified of the procedure. Medical technology right now is so wonderful, especially the heart. The heart, they know all kinds of things what to do. You know, one of the things that I will say to people again is take time to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
That
And
is the most important thing.
I don't know that that type of fear will be more so than the fear of actually not being alive. So think of that.
Say
if
that
you're
again.
afraid of the procedure, well, what's the alternative?
Right.
So maybe you want to stay alive, the procedure will be a piece of cake. Right?
That's a good one.
Yeah. And probably the same with the exercise and everything. They need a
Yes.
doctor to tell them they're going to die before they're like, okay, I need to do this now.
Yes. Yes.
You know that if your medium exterior of the round girth part of you is hanging over your belt at an extreme, and you're more than 30 pounds overweight, you got a problem.
You should
Because
probably
I understand
address
that
it.
heart attacks in people, especially men, not just men of color, but men don't tend to think of things on a serious level. We prevaricate, that's a good word, that's a real good word, to ourselves, and we procrastinate, and the two P's I have to call them are death defying. Am I right? We lie to ourselves about doing all this stuff, and then we don't go to the doctor.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, and when you got a family, you got children, you got grandchildren, and I'm putting it in that perspective because this is the age, once you pass 40, this is critical for you to get your checkups and your tests.
Absolutely.
Colonoscopy, how do I say that? Endoscopy, whatever that word is. Endoscopy. You know, where you go up one end and get that, you know. And an angiogram every so often is very important.
Well, I think that why I've tried so hard to make women aware is because I think there is a stereotypical, you talked a lot about men and heart disease as well, but there's a stereotypical picture in our minds of who has heart disease. And it tends to be the older, heavyset male. And I want people to know that if you look at me, I'm heart disease. And I've never been heavyset. I've never smoked. I'm female. My heart attack happened at age 44, not over 50. And I think for women, we need to know that heart disease actually kills more of us than it does men. And
Really?
When I went to rehab, like I was telling you earlier, in my rehab when I first got there, older, heavyset men. There were no women in there. And there was no information for me, unless I really, really searched the internet, Googled all this. But as far as like commercials and things being said about women in heart disease, and actually 1 in 3 die of heart disease. And I felt, honestly, really alone. And it was really difficult for me.
That will make you have a little bit of fear on top of it. Am I right?
Yes.
The fact that you're alone. You know, and I'm listening to you, and you're saying that that 1 in 3. That you just totally blew me away with that one. 1 in 3 don't make it.
Right. Right. And
That's-
it's alarming. It's beyond alarming.
And 80% of that is preventable.
Yes, that's the good news.
That's
There's
the good news about
so
it.
many things that you could take control of.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really good news.
And your lifestyle changes, but also, like you were saying in the beginning, you have to look at your family.
Yes, you have to look at your family history. It's
You gotta look
huge.
at
It
your
really is
family.
huge.
You might not like what you see,
Right.
but you gotta look
You
at
gotta
that.
seriously look at it, and I think that you're right. I spent about 5 or 6 months healing my body, and a long, long, long time after that healing my mind about what just happened to me
So,
and how it happened.
what did you think after you had evaluated all this stuff and you were laying there getting your bypasses? What did you think? Did you feel afraid, or did you think, well, I need to do whatever I need to do to live?
Well, before the surgery, I had a kind of a feeling of this is out of my hands now, and so whatever's going to happen is going to be in God's hands.
Right.
And I'm praying that I survive the surgery. And to be honest with you, I couldn't tell what came after that. I didn't know what was going to come after that. It was a hard. I didn't have a vision of what tomorrow would look like at all.
Wow. And you know, that is the biggest fear, am I right?
The unknown, absolutely.
The unknown.
And waiting, especially after seeing that commercial that said most women don't survive their second heart attack.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have another
That's
heart attack.
50%.
I'm not going to survive.
I saw a commercial like that a couple of years ago. 50% of them don't survive after the second one.
Well, and just the thought of having another one was like, what?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like how you can be having one and you don't know you're having one. That's the scary thing.
That's the thing. So the symptoms for women, I mean, go on to the Go Red website, look up what the symptoms are. Sometimes they're just extreme fatigue. You might not always have jaw pain. You might not always, like myself, I didn't only have pain in my left arm. It was in both. It felt like it was coming from between, high up near my neck, between my shoulder blades. So it wasn't that crashing pain that you think about. Also,
This is very subtle.
Yeah, and how many of us probably go, oh, it's a pinched nerve. Or
right, and so you just ignore it because why? You have 80 million other things to do today. Right?
Yeah.
That's just a little nothing. And so the other thing is feeling alone after my surgery and going through rehab. Now the Go Red, which I so support, I say it over and over, they have actually a Facebook page. It's Go Red Get Fit. And it's a support group for women, men, anybody can be on there, but I'm telling you, what I went through I thought was huge, but it is absolutely nothing in the scheme of things of the women who are on there and what they've been through and how they can persevere and how they never, ever, ever give up. That group is amazing. And to read their stories, I was just riveted. Just riveted.
You know, people of color, they tend to, because of all the factors, you know, financial viability and all that stuff, they tend to not think that they can make it, a lot of them. I've been talking to people throughout the, you know, the whole spectrum of inner city Oakland. They just feel that once something happens to them, it's done. You know, and that's the one thing that I listen to you is positive thinking.
Oh, you have to.
You have to be positive. I'm gonna make it.
Yes. And for me, what helped me was I did have a nurse tell me because I kept telling her, I don't know if I'm ever going to feel different. Am I ever going to be able to walk more than halfway around my block? Am I ever? And she said to me, don't look so much forward, but look where you came from.
Right.
So think about how you felt 2 days after your surgery. Now think about how you felt a week after your surgery. And then see how much you're doing now 3 weeks after surgery. And that helped me because I saw that I was improving physically.
Believing in yourself is a big problem in the inner city. You know that? Believing in your heart.
Yeah.
You know, projecting that you're going to be here because all you hear is just negativity.
Right.
You know, and all you see is violence in the inner city. You know, the life expectancy in inner city is bad.
Yes.
It's horrible. But you
You're
have to
listening
think
to
past it.
Thoughts of a Common Man with Charles the Chief Williams on Radio Valencia, the sounds of the mission.
Hey, and we're back with Allison, and we're talking about geographics in people. One of the things we were talking about is have a Coke and a smile. My husband he was another adventurer. At 16 in the 50s, I hitchhiked this whole country, and I guess in the 60s or the 70s maybe, he did the same thing. And you know what? It's an experience that you learn a lot about people about. One of the things I learned is that people eat what they can consume, whatever they can afford. And it's still the same way in a sense. But today technology has done a lot of things. There's a lot of things in our diets right now that are synthetic. Am I right?
Oh, yes.
A lot.
A lot.
Even the chickens are hormones, and they're
Antibiotics.
shot up with everything, and
Corn fed.
corn fed.
Yes.
Make them fat.
Yep. Saturated fat.
Saturated fat, and then on top of that, 90% of the corn in this country now is genetically engineered. I can't believe that. I'm sitting here going, 90%. I read that. They're Arthur Daniel Midland, Monsanto, and people like this. They're developing GMO stuff that's really way out.
Yes.
Don't wake up one morning you have 3 eyes there, America. But seriously speaking, read the label. Am I right, Allison?
Read the label, and if you're eating fish, try to get wild-caught fish.
The Atlantic fish right now.
Yeah, the cold water fish
Cold water
is
fish
really
is
more healthy. Yeah, grass-fed, organic as much as possible.
Right.
As much as possible.
And most tilapia is raised in ponds, and they feed them like dog food, and it's chemicals. So tilapia now is not a healthy fish what it was 30 years ago,
Exactly.
35 years ago. It's junk.
Right.
It's all, dog food. That's what they feed them. Stuff that look like dog food. So you know what? And you go into a restaurant, I love tilapia. Tilapia loves you too, but it's not really tilapia. It's a mush fish, I call it. It's junk. It's synthetic, and they put growth hormones, and then they put liquid nitrogen in the water to accentuate, make them breathe all this stuff. Yeah, they actually have these liquid nitrogen pools that the oxygen makes them ingest more and grow more.
It's terrible.
And they go around with these bags, just shake these bags in the water. Garbage. But anyway, we have enjoyed the hell out of you, Lady Fair.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much for having me.
You want to put your numbers out there once more again?
Sure. You can contact me. My name is Allison. I work at Delta Valley Health Club in Brentwood, or you can email me at laree713@aol.com.
Go out there and lose about 30 pounds in 3 weeks. You know what they say on television? You can lose 5 pounds a week, if you do this with this diet.
6-minute abs.
The vinegar thing, the white vinegar thing.
That's right.
What do you call that? Vinegar and what else?
Apple cider vinegar.
Apple cider vinegar, yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Facebook group again?
The Facebook group is Go Red Get Fit.
Go Red Get Fit.
And people can also find me on Facebook, just Allison
Oh,
Harris.
you're on Facebook too.
I am.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Find me on Facebook and inbox me.
Maybe, I hope this broadcast, if you live out there in the Brentwood area, give this lady a call. Go out there and get that fat off your ass. You want to be nice about it.
And more important, get yourself checked out.
That's right.
Get yourself checked out. Go have an angiogram, even if you haven't had one. Colonoscopy, endoscopy, whatever them things is. Endoscopy.
Now you're making me laugh.
Really? Seriously, people don't check their guts out, so to speak, their insides.
Yeah.
And this all relates back to the old ticker.
That's right.
It all goes back to the heart when it's all, all said and done. And we want to thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was an immense pleasure meeting your husband. And maybe he can help me get into the theater and I can sing some,
Oh, no,
I can sing an aria.
Come see him this Friday.
An opera vara or some of them things,
No.
Okay.
But in closing, this is Gina the producer.
Amen.
Thank you for listening. And always be sure to check us out on thoughtsofacommonman.net, where you can find video and podcast and whatever else you want to know. And on that note, we will see you next week.
Can I sing?
No.
Oh, Lord. Bye, Allison.
Bye. Thank you
Love
so
you, dear.
much.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
showing.